Hi everybody, it's Anne here from Anne Bird Coaching, and today I'm going to talk to you about the 4 signs that shows you that it's time to adjust your mindset. Now, I know it probably sounds quite simple, but ultimately how we look at our lives is really fundamental to about whether or not you're going to be happy or unhappy. And a lot of that is about if you consumed constantly by the negativity and the negative thoughts and beliefs that we can often accumulate over a period of time, then you'll actually kind of find out somehow that you're just constantly unhappy and just have a sense of unsatisfaction with the way that your life's going. And then what happens is that our perception becomes our reality. And this is why working on your mindset is so important, because it can make such a huge difference to your life. And here are the 4 signs that makes you suggest that actually you need to change. You need to look at the way that you are viewing the world, and you need to kind of see if you can change them. Number 1 is you focus on everything that's going wrong. So usually it's a real indication that you need to shift that mindset if you continuously fix your attention on the disappointments and the worry that you have in your life. And you need to take time to kind of like maybe realize how much you're doing that, because sometimes we don't acknowledge it until almost like when we do make time to stop and think about how what we're thinking about, what is continually on our mind or in our thoughts, then as soon as you have that awareness, it means that you can make those changes. And so one of the key things to try and shift your mindset is to look at gratitude. So to try and remember all the time, think about it. What are you actually grateful for in your life? What are the good things that are happening for you? And it may be if you're really struggling and having lots of challenges that you can't always think of anything. And you know, again, we've all kind of been there. But even if it's just the simple things, even if it is the fact that you've got a roof over your head, that you've got food to eat, that you live in a warm house, and just start to acknowledge and see even the tiny things that are good about what's happening in your life. And as soon as we start doing that, it will grow, it will change, and you'll suddenly start to think about more positive things, and then start to acknowledge them, which of course is a real important step to be able to make changes. And then number 2 is you refuse to face the truth. So a lot of the time we can complain, and you know, I've been such a negative person in my life. I've been a consistent complainer, because almost it feels like when we start in that pattern and we go off down that negative road, it kind of gets easier just to moan and groan, because somehow we get into that sort of sense of that things are happening to us, and that we don't have any control of them. And often complaining is more about sort of a pattern that we get into, and that you know that you feel almost helpless, as I've said, that you can't make any changes, that nothing is going to happen, and that you somehow then start to not be able to separate fact from fiction. So if you have this sort of constant complaining syndrome, even when something good happens, you kind of always see the other side of it. And I was always a person who was a glass half empty, mainly because I felt like that not a lot of good actually had happened to me, and so why was it going to? And it was only then when I realised that actually so much of that is about what was going on inside me, and that I had the control and the ability to change that actually then I was able to do something about it. So you know, being in control or not in control generally means recognizing the things that we have impact on, and some of the things that we don't have impact on, but also just not always looking on the bad side and trying to shift and see that we do have control on how we deal with the challenges and issues that we have in our lives. The number 3 is become angry when your expectations are not met. Now, so much of our mindset actually consists of our expectations, and these are what we believe are possible and what we believe are necessary. And if you're always angry with the people in your life and they aren't meeting your expectations, then often what that means is that somehow we expect too much of them. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is going to be able to do exactly what we want them to do. And often our expectations tend to lay the groundwork for our experiences. So if we have high expectations for ourselves and for those around us, quite often we're disappointed, because somehow, people are fallible. We're fallible. Not everybody can do everything exactly as you want them to do it. So it is maybe about trying to just give yourself a break and give other people a break, and sort of taking a step back and thinking, okay, everybody is doing their best and I'm doing my best with what I know and what's happening with me. And then number 4 is always seeing yourself as a victim. Now, this was definitely me a few years ago. I had a number of things happen to me in my life that felt like that somehow, that it was like I couldn't have any control over them, and they'd happened to me, and that somehow then I was just not a factor in this at all, that somehow, I was just very, very unlucky, or just not in the right place at the right time, or I suppose maybe what I did think as well is that I was doing something wrong, and that was a lot of what it was about, because I didn't have confidence and belief in myself. And, it's generally, being a victim is definitely a product of having low self-esteem. And if you want to change that mindset, then you've got to reject the victim role that we get ourselves into. And to actually do that, it means to accept that, life happens, stuff is difficult. Sometimes we have huge challenges and we can't always do a lot about them. But, we can shift and change, and we can move away from not being a victim to being a survivor. And when I shifted that perception about me, that made such a huge change in how I saw myself, and also then how I saw other people. So they're just 4 little tips and ideas for you to recognise when you need to be able to try and make a shift and change in your mindset. And, doing that isn't easy. We know that. But it is one of the most powerful things that can make a difference in your life, and one of the most powerful things that can support you, for making you feel good about what is happening for you at any moment or any time. And I think the important part of that is the learning when we are being negative, because that is the first step then to be able to support and make those changes. So I'm going to be sharing with you in another video about some of the things that we can do to help that process. And if you like this video, please subscribe. I'd love to be able to share more of my thoughts, tips and actions with you. And comment if there's anything that you feel that has shown you that you've got to shift that mindset. Take care of yourself. Bye.